Okay, let me turn on the old chat. Got it. Everything's working. Everything's working. Right on. Okay, great. Today is Monday. Let's see. I'm going to be accurate here. I want to know the date. Is the 9th of May 2022. I am your host, Mark, coming to you from Baker's Green Acres here in lovely Marion, Michigan. And it is lovely. Although today we are in some sort of storm warning, and it's extremely high winds coming out of the east, which is different. It's really different. Usually don't see it this time of the year. So a lot of stuff getting moved around. A little hard to work outside today. A lot of dust in the air. You know, wah. But it was very sunny, and I think it hit like 72 degrees today. So I got a lot of things done today. We were going to head up to a town called Boone and purchase some blueberry bushes, but I called ahead. Lucky I did. And they said, oh, no, we don't have any. We won't have them until the end of the month, beginning of next month. So that was kind of disappointing. So I looked on Marketplace and we found somebody that had some, south of us, about 45 minutes. And I tell you what, they looked really good. And so let's see if I can find that picture again. Maybe I shouldn't do this. It's kind of negative. I'm surprised the internet's holding because it is so windy out and like my phone's not really working. So we'll see, but it seems to be holding on. All right. Well, that's great. Yeah, it's not working. I can't look at Marketplace right now. Yeah. So be it. So anyway, we shot down there because, they were nice looking bushes for $10. And when we got there, they were like, it looked like, just a sprig, it's, they're 3 years old. And I didn't like to be, I don't want to start any negative vibes, I say, so I think we'll just try 4 of them, we'll try 4. So I got them home. Maybe they'll do great. Maybe because I was not a real jerk about it, but they didn't look like anything like the picture did, but I got them home. And the reason that we were looking for blueberry bushes is because this weekend we went to the Declare Homestead and got in on a, I don't see any chat. Is anybody, oh, there it is. The Z-Man is there. Ready for your road trip. What time are you going to be here anyway? Better not be too early. I won't like that. Sean Wise. All right, right on. But we went to the Clerics and they were doing a training about organic gardening, how to start an organic garden. And there was, I'd say about 50% of the information that I had heard before. But then there was another 50% that I hadn't. And that's, if you've been doing stuff a while, that's the way it's going to be. And I'm used to that. Yeah, 8 a.m.'s all right. What's for breakfast? Right on. All right. Okay. I'll see what I can do. Yep. But the fun was hanging around with other people that would go, and spend a Saturday standing in the sun, hearing about organic growing. It was fun, and we had nice conversations with several other people and learned quite a bit of stuff. But for me, what I came away with Well, first of all, it's nice to be around a family where the kids are kind of functional, and the parents are both there, and they sit, they eat at a table, and very functional family. And so I appreciate that. It's nice. It's really nice because that's how we do things. So you feel like you're kind of at home, sort of. Um, and we had great things to talk about. We had lots of things to talk about. And but one of the things I came away with, and I came away so motivated that as soon as I got my chores done yesterday, of course I had to go out and I had to do a little Mother's Day shopping. But then I came back and I was like, I know what I want to do. And we were going to have guests yesterday, and they were going to be here about 4 o'clock. So I got 2 hours here. Nobody can touch me, right? And so I saw something at the DeClerc homestead that I really liked. I saw a garden with borders, right? They have a picket fence around it. And I saw that and I really liked it. Hey, Debbie's with us. Right on. Right on. And I liked that. There was a feeling about the border around there. And I thought, boy, that'd be nice because I have this, we have so much happening here at the same time, all kinds of different animals. And at some point, we'll have just this beautiful garden with a lot of stuff in it. And it's very valuable to me. It really very valuable to me because it feeds my family. And Jill puts a lot of work into it. And I sometimes have these feelings like, what would happen if the cows got out right after we went to bed? And then they got in there and look at this. Look at this. We got some broccoli here. Come on, girls, everybody get in here. And they're just so big and they just walk through everything. There wouldn't be anything left. We'd come out in the morning and it would be really a bummer. It would really be a bummer. And that's always kind of bothered me. And so where it's situated, though, I thought, I can't just go putting up a picket fence around it. And I didn't really want to do that. That's a lot of work that I don't have the time to do. But I thought I can put some borders. And as far as security goes, like let's say I had 3 sides. On the 4th side, I had a piece of wire that went across there that I ratcheted up tight. And if I needed to, I could just break it loose and roll it up. If I needed to get in there with a tractor or it's harvest time or the garden's over for the year, you don't really want it. So you have to go through this one gate all the time. So I thought, well, how could I do that? And I kind of came up with a plan. I thought, well, I know I can put a fence on this side and a fence on this side, and I can put a temporary fence across the back. It'll come right up to the corner of the greenhouse, and then nothing will get in from those 3 sides, right? And then on the front of it, I could very easily just put a really small fencer, and I could just put a temp fence across there, two pieces of poly wire across there, and then if I just need to take them out, I can just take them out. But it doesn't feel like the whole garden is fenced in. And so I'm going to do that. So I actually have one side built, and then I saw something else at DeClerc's that I really liked was ground cover cloth. The way they had it installed, I'd seen it done like that before, but I'd never really seen just a home person do it, a homesteader do it. And so they had a pretty good size area garden, and then they had it completely covered. It's like, so there was holes about like that they planted down through. So they planted all of their squashes and pumpkins and stuff like that on that. And so there is just no competition with weeds. There's no weeding, right? So I saw that and I said, oh, that is a tremendous advantage. And from what I was told, if you feel like you want to take it up and move it someplace, you just pull the staples, you roll it up, and you move it. So you could amend your soil, maybe rototill it again, and maybe even put a cover crop on it in the fall. You could do that. So I really like that. And so we are going to get some ordered today. Might even have been ordered. I'm not really sure. We looked it all up and everything, and it's not terribly expensive. And when I started thinking along those lines, I thought, hey, now that I have this fence, I would like to put some of that cloth on the inside of the fence and then plant some decorative yet functional plants in there, like blueberries, strawberries, asparagus. That's what I saw at the Clerc, so that's what came through into my head. Because whenever we put in asparagus, it gets so choked out by the weeds, and we don't have time to be doing that. You know, you just don't have that kind of time. But if I did it like this, you'd be weeding out a spot about like that. So what they did is they burned holes in this stuff, and then they planted down through that. So I'm doing it. I am doing it, and I want to incorporate it into several places on this farm and just really increase my ability to grow, right? By any means possible. And I also I had to do this other thing today. I'm doing some video work tomorrow with Joe. So yeah, Justin, you're going to be competing with Joe for my time tomorrow. He's getting here about 9. And I got to have the compost pile going, and it wasn't quite going this morning. So I went out there and had to get some water on it, you know, and you can stand there with the hose and you can water it, but it'll take so much water. So I got a micro sprinkler, and I adapted it up, and I took it out there and I just stuck that down on the top of it, turned it on. It's still on. I'm going to leave it on all night. So we'll get a very even, very gradual soaking of the compost pile, and then I can start turning it, and it will start making a lot of heat, because we've been adding to it all winter long. We've done a couple of chicken processings and some pig processings, and the guts go in there, and you know the pile kind of shuts off when it gets cold. You can keep them going if you have chicken manure, but I didn't do it this year. So anyway, when I did that, I thought, boy, wouldn't it be nice to have the garden set up with micro sprinklers and be able to turn on a half a dozen of them at night and just let them run the full night. And they just put out a very, not quite a mist. No, it's not a mist. It's just a very small droplets, and probably the radius is about 12. The radius is about 6-8 feet. So the diameter would be 12, 16 feet, like that, depending on how high up you have them. It would be really easy to put them on a piece of conduit, and then tape the capillary line down the side of that, and you could just very easily just move it, and then you could leave those sprinklers. Actually, you could leave them running all the time. You could just leave them on, and you'd have a nice moist area for the garden. So yeah, I really got motivated, and on the way home everybody was tired and sunburned, and so nobody was talking much, and I was just thinking about, yep, I am going to make our garden operation as good as I can this year. I'm going to add to it, and I'm going to make it really, really go. So look who's with us. The Declare Homestead is with us, and so is Keith Sutton. Right on. So that's what my weekend was like, and then I got after it a little bit on Sunday and tried to today, but I had too many interruptions, and I'm going to be interrupted tomorrow too, so I probably won't get back after it until like Thursday, because I have to slaughter a pig on Wednesday. Right. So I'm pretty busy. I realized today, oh, it's begun. And you, or at least I do, this is my 19th year here. Is it? Yeah. Let's see. Somebody needs to do the math. I got out in 04, and this is 2022. So 18th year. Yeah. Huh. I thought last year was our 18th year. I don't know. Anyway, there have been years when all of a sudden, I'm enjoying the birds and the warmer temperatures, and boom, it explodes. And I always say to myself, I should have seen that coming, because you're going to be mowing the lawn here pretty quick. And so as soon as it's time to mow the lawn, stuff starts happening, right? Stuff starts happening. All the animals start to wake up. The cows are ready to go out on pasture, which means, hey, now I'm moving cows every couple of days. Stuff just starts happening. We usually calf in the spring. Not going to be so much this year. I don't have pigs farrowing until probably the month, about 6 weeks from now. So that's not going to be happening. And then hay cutting starts in June, and that takes up some time. But this year, I am going to be ready. I am going to have that machinery sitting there all lubed up, ready to go, checked out, ready to go. I can't wait. All right. Vindicti's with us. Nancy's with us. Hey, Nancy, today was the day when our chicks were supposed to hatch. And so, Jill wrote it right on the incubator in like grease pencil. And so we've been watching it. And then today, sure enough, there was one little hole in one of the eggs. So we're watching it, and then sure enough, out a chick came. And I think the last time it holds 41. And the last time somebody looked at it, there was 10 or 12, and plenty more holes coming. So we had a good hatch. And I tell you what, we're gonna reload it. We're gonna reload it, and that way we can, if it goes where they want to take it, and they shut down, Tractor Supply and Town Line Hatchery and all those, then these hatchlings will be worth some money. They would be worth some money. So it makes sense to do it. Yeah, fantastic. And they're just mutts. Yeah, I don't even know what our rooster is. I couldn't even tell you. Yeah, we're not being too technical about it. So that was my weekend, and that is where I'm at. I'm pretty psyched about the garden. I did put the rototiller on, and I tilled both gardens. I love it. I love tilling. I didn't have to put any compost in. I don't have as much as I usually do, so I didn't need to, so I just refrained from doing that. Other things that are going on here is, I made a video about it. I'm going to need to make another one. Is I planted rye last fall, and I think it's up about a foot, and it's the thickest, luscious stuff you ever seen. We had all that rain, and it's just, the soil out there is so fertile, and it's just absorbing it. It's going to be so much fun to let the pigs over onto that side. I can't wait. They're going to farrow over there and all that stuff. So I think we'll have I'd like to get them over there about a week before, so they can get accustomed to eating all that green, because they do get the runs when they eat so much green. Yeah, when I first put the cows out, I'll be putting them out like the 20th. Well, the 20th, probably 24th maybe. But I was out today looking at the grass, and they could be out today. They could be, but they've still got bales in their feeders. So I'm going to let them finish that up before I let them out. Mowed 2 hours today and 3 hours yesterday. Still lots more to do. Never ending battle. Man, if you look at it as not as mowing, but as harvesting, it's like a dream. You know, it's a dream because when you start feeding that stuff to your pigs, it's so awesome. Or you use it for mulch in your garden. And we're going to try a couple of things this year. We're going to try the weed blocker stuff. We're going to try that, make some permanent beds. We're also going to try a living mulch in our walkways. We've done that before. We haven't done it in the last couple of years because we haven't had a lawnmower. You know, now we have a small old lawnmower, just a side discharge Montgomery Ward, 5 horsepower or whatever, pull start, real just dependable mower. But I'm going to make the walkways at 22 inches because the mower is 22 inches, and Jill's got a living mulch, it's called, so it's a seed thing, and we'll just get them spread out and put the mower up on high as it'll go, and then every so often just run down the row. And what you do is you run down the row and you discharge at the base of the tomatoes. And what it does is it sprays all of that chopped up mulch or green manure right at the base, and it kind of covers up the ground there, so it'll retain moisture, and there's a lot of nutrient in that will seep down in. So going to do that this year. Also going to get smart about trellising this year. I get so geeked about putting the garden in, and then other stuff takes me away from it, and then I get kind of overwhelmed, and yeah. All right. Oh, Crunchy Mama just got in. Planned a new fence line today for sheep paddocks. Mia's first foray, right on. Joe's got some sheep over at his place too. Kind of fun. Have a dachshund? I've been mowing clockwise, and I currently have a dachshund. Oh, dozen. Big circles of grass clippings. Okay. I thought you were just telling me you had a dachshund. I don't know. You seem like a Chihuahua guy to me, but hey, if you want to have a dachshund, have a dachshund. Okay, Nancy, what other type of grass can you plant for pigs besides rye? The lady says they don't have it where I buy seeds. Well, you don't have to do grass, Nance. You can do brassicas. Brassicas are like turnips, things like that. Turnips. What's another brassica? Would be they're nitrogen fixers. Broccoli is brassica. Let's see. I can't think. So it doesn't have to be grass. But other types of grass you could experiment with are like wheat. Let's see. Oh, a good one is buckwheat. Buckwheat's a good one. They like it, and it is a nitrogen fixer. Then you can do this time of year up where you are. I'm sure your soil's kind of chilly. You could do field peas. Field peas would be really good right now. and they'll take them off, and then you could replant with something that does better in a little bit warmer setting, like a Daikon Radish. Daikon radishes are so much fun. They're so much fun because you get this great big white radish, and if your ground is pretty solid underneath, then it kind of has a tendency to grow up out of the ground, and it's got this big plume. It almost looks like tobacco, and the pigs will go after that plume first. They like that, and it's actually, if you cut it off when it's young, that plume, if you cut pieces of it off and bring it in the house, put a little Ken Steakhouse on it, good stuff. It is good. Yeah, radish is good. Late in the season, that's when you want to get into the turnips. Okay, that's when you want to get into the turnips, because the way it'll work is they will come in. If you get that at the end of August, let's say you got them the last day of August, or maybe the week before the third week in August, let's say, they would be pretty nice size by the time you got into late November. It starts getting cold, the bulbs start getting sweet, and then your pigs will start to dig them out. And even if it gets real cold, the ground freezes, and there's snow, they'll still find them and dig them out, which is kind of nice. All right. Okay, I got a subject tonight. I know I've yacked for quite a while here, but the subject was born out of Jill and I driving back from this town. We went to get blueberries, and on the way down there, we saw stuff and said, hey, let's check that out on the way home. Or I did. And I saw like this, it was a lake. It was big something lake, big, I don't remember the name of it, Big Bend Lake or something like that. I thought, well, let's see, and this is from where we are to going down there. It's Route 66 all the way. It is very rural, extremely rural. Actually, didn't look good. Didn't look good. Things are in a pretty bad shape here in Michigan when you get into the rural countryside. Actually, worse than I'd seen in a while. It's really kind of bad. But on the way down there, we saw a couple of lakes where they had campgrounds and stuff. And hey, let's check that out. We usually just blast down that way and don't see anything or check anything out. But more and more, it seems like it's actually safer in that direction than going north, to me. No one's going to tell you what to do, at least. So anyway, we were on the way home, and we stopped at a lake and walked down on the dock, looked down on the water, get really psyched, for getting a rowboat out and doing some fishing and stuff. Can't wait. And then we stopped in a little town and just drove through the town. There was a river that came off of this lake. And so we just wanted to kind of look at it and see what the houses were like, and if there was properties for sale and stuff like that. I mean, it's just curiosity, just being nosy. It's not like we're going to move there or anything. The name of the town is Barryton, right? And then we went a little further, and then we stopped at this place where we do a lot of foraging in the summertime or late spring. And we thought, let's just go out and see if the fiddleheads are in. Now, if you don't know what fiddleheads are, along the side of rivers, and don't go doing this in the forest because bracken ferns, you're not supposed to be eating those. But along the riverbed of certain rivers, not all rivers, and this doesn't work out west. I've never seen them out west. I've seen them in the east, in Maine, and then I've seen them here in Michigan, right? But if I hadn't leaned and I had come to Michigan and I saw these things, I would have never thought, oh, you can eat those. But living in Maine, people have things that they, you know, they cherish certain things. Like, okay, it's fiddlehead fern hunting season, and so people have their spots that they go to. They have little islands, right, that they go to that nobody else goes to, and they get the best fiddleheads there. They actually sell them in stores up there. And I had never eaten them before, but then when I had them, I thought, hey, they're pretty good. I like them. And so I used to do just like the Mainers do, and I would go out and collect up fiddlehead ferns and then bring them home and parboil them, put them in bags and seal the bags, put it in the freezer, and we'd have them all winter long. So I really like them. And then we discovered that they had them here, and the people here in Michigan, they never heard of it, and you tell them, and they're like, I'll pass. I like green beans. People just aren't into it. So we stopped at this place and we got to looking around, and they were kind of few and far between, but we did get enough to come home, and that's what I'm going to have after I get done here. I had 2 hamburger patties before I started, and that's what I'm going to eat when I'm done. So you just fry them in, I'm sure everybody's got mangalitsa fat at their house, so throw a nice gob of mangalitsa fat there in the frying pan, and just push those things around in there until they're nice and crispy, and they are good, right? So I got to thinking about this, and I thought, wow, if I don't want to tell anybody what to do, but I am more than willing to tell you what I do. And when I think about it, our mindset is, it makes us happy to go out in the woods, right? And then it makes us even happier to come out of the woods with food. I get real happy about that. I love it. I just love it. So I got to thinking, well, how would you talk about this in a like a homesteading scenario? And I just analyzed it a little as I was driving home, and I thought, oh, that's kind of easy. You just are a homesteader. You're a homesteader, so you try to gear your life towards the homestead. And homestead really isn't a place. It is I think it's kind of a state of mind. You're facing up, you're acknowledging the fact, you're facing up to it, that you are responsible for your survival. You're facing up to it. Even though food in this country is just plentiful, and we don't even realize how plentiful it is. But I tell you something, when I was stationed in Japan, there was a store down the street from us, and it was just a really small store, and people stopped in there quite regularly, and they would get their food for the day. They weren't buying for the week. They had really small refrigerators. The store was where all the food was, and you would just stop in there and buy what you needed for that meal, basically. That's not how we did it, but that's how the Japanese did it, and there was reasons for that. Things were a lot harder in their country during the war than they were here, right? I mean, we had a simulation of food shortage here, but they had the real thing, and there was a good reason why they had it. It's called the B-29. That was the reason why they had so much trouble with it. And so, yeah, when we go in a store there, they didn't have an aisle with coffee all the way down. They didn't. They would have maybe 3-4 cans, and it was like only one kind of coffee. I don't even remember, I don't remember. I mean, we didn't do that much shopping in there. Once in a while, I'd stop in there and get a drink, talk with the mama-san a little bit, but it was more like just for fun. It wasn't like where we shopped, because we weren't eating Japanese food. We could get food at the commissary, and it was American food. And we're eating steaks, and Japanese people are eating little fish. They didn't have the food that we had. So you don't realize how much food there is in this country. And I don't know. I am hearing all kinds of things, and I'm hearing all terrible stories about the railroad now, and about trucking and shipping and all these things. I'm hearing all this stuff. Maybe everybody else is hearing it too. And it all seems to jive with what Presidente said of you're going to have food shortages, right? So anyway, so it makes me even more psyched and adamant about your leisure activities should coincide with the farm. Like how you plant strawberries and asparagus side by side. It's called companion planting, right? And because they are together, they both do better, right? So we're trying to figure out a way to word this, but it could be companion processes. So here I am, I'm on a homestead. It's a place where I can process just about anything. So if I am out along a riverbed and I find a whole bunch of wild asparagus, yeah, I'm picking it. It's coming home with me. If I find fiddleheads, oh yeah, that's coming home. If I find a good place to fish, boy, I love trout. I'll take all of them I can get. And they come home, and my leisure activity is working, towards the end goal at the homestead of, it's my responsibility to feed this family, and this is what I need to do. So if I can get some trout in the freezer, yeah. If I can get some fiddleheads in the freezer, sure. If I can get, anything that I can find. So one of the things that we like to do, we like to forage. It's fun. I think it's as fun as anything. I mean, if you just want to go out in the woods and walk around, it's okay, but to me, sometimes it feels kind of like a waste of time. I mean, I enjoy the woods and all that, but I have this prompting, hey, you got things at home you could be doing that you're going to be sorry that you didn't do if you don't get home and do them, right? And I say, wait a minute, I'm out here, I'm picking fiddleheads, all right? Well, okay, I'm kind of warring with myself. It doesn't work very good when I'm deer hunting unless I have a kid with me. If I have one of my kids with me, then it feels like, yeah, I should be at home doing stuff, but I'm sitting here spending quality time with one of my kids, waiting to shoot a deer. Right? So it kind of makes sense. Fishing's a good one. Mushroom hunting is a good one. Acorning is a really good one. And see, that only works if you've got Mangalitsa pigs, It doesn't really work if you've got white pigs. They're not that interested in. I don't think. I don't think. Although Nancy, you could find out, because your pigs, I don't think, are Mangalitsas, but you could find out if you pick up some acorns and feed them to your pigs this fall. And imagine that. Right now in America, there is no competition. Not too many other American citizens are gonna, push you out of the way. I want that acorn. They don't see that as sustenance. We don't eat acorns. We don't. We could, though. There is a way to do that. There's a very easy way to break them, separate the meats, and then you soak them. And then you do away with that water. You soak it again. You can use that water for tanning your deer hides, but you can soak a lot of the tannic acid out of those meats and then dry them, and you can actually make flour out of them. And they're supposed to be really well. and it's supposed to have more nutritional value than corn. A lot more. It's like 4 times as much, and all kinds of complex minerals and nutrients that are just not in corn, because after all, this acorn is the fruit of a massive tree with a massive root system that's pulling up lots and lots of nutrient out of deep in the ground. Where with corn, you're only down a couple inches and it's not very nutrient dense soil. So, okay, Keith's saying he loves fiddleheads. All right, well, there's a Michigander that knows. All right, here's Justin says, I found a bunch of morels yesterday. I had looked for years and thought my property didn't have any of them. I've never found any, right? So I don't have that bug, but I know Joe interviewed a guy last week. He's doing a video thing for the city of Cadillac, and he had to interview a guy that is the morel foraging winner top guy, like in 4 or 5 states. I mean, this guy, they have some sort of competition, and he's a top guy. He's like 75 years old, and he just knows. He just knows. He walks into a forest, he knows where to go. I just never found any, but when you find them, you get, because they are really good to eat. Okay, so that's kind of my thing. I think that if you adopt that mindset that, well, we've got some recreating to do this afternoon. We need to get off the farm. We need to go have fun. I'm not saying it always has to work out that way, but hey, kids, maybe you'd like to go tour some greenhouses with me. Yeah, no thanks, Dad. But when I say to my kids, hey, you guys want to go acorning? Yeah, they all want to go. Hey, you guys want to go get fiddleheads? Oh yeah, they love them. Some of them don't even like to eat them, but it's fun to find them. Oh, I've got some more over here, and then we usually find stuff out in the woods. You find old cars in the woods. You find we've gone through old houses out in the woods that no one's lived in a long, long time. You just find all kinds of stuff. When you're out just adventuring, you come across stuff. So that's what I have. That's what I have to throw at you tonight to think about for a while. And these days, I would say, I was having a conversation with a friend tonight, and she was telling me that she got one of her grandmother's old Bibles, and there was annotations in the side column about the New World Order. And this, she was doing these annotations shortly after the Depression. So, it's like before 1930, or when did the Depression end? It was 38, I think. So they were talking about that then. And if those people were alive today, they would probably say, don't spend any time trying to figure out what's going on out there. Just don't. Just make sure that you're covered, and you need food, water, and shelter. Make sure you're covered. Don't try to yell to everybody to get in the boats, in the rescue boats. Just you get in the rescue boat. And if people don't want to know about it, then hey, that's their decision. I mean, I've asked people if they wanted help getting ready, and they'll acknowledge that there's a problem, but then, nah, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna plant a garden this year. Nah, I'm just kind of busy. I don't want to do that. So, yeah, there's gonna be a food shortage. Yeah, I know, but I don't have time. I'm gonna start. Okay, so that's my spiel for tonight. I mean, that's kind of right in there with prepping and all that stuff. I'm not telling you guys what to do, but that's what I do. And I'm even interested on here, like with everybody dialed in right now, if you have suggestions for recreational things to do that are going to yield I want to hear them. I want to hear them. And I'll tell you another one that's really fun. If you haven't done this, find a set of railroad tracks, and it's better if it's an active set of railroad tracks. Although, if they're not active, you still, and put a backpack on, and decide how many miles you're going to. Maybe look at a map, maybe have somebody drop you off, and then you walk, and they could pick you up at the other, the next place where it crosses roads, if it's not too far. And as you're walking, pick up scrap metal. Yeah. You will find so much stuff. You will not believe it. And I'm not talking cans. I'm talking washers, spikes, dent and bent spikes, brand new spikes. I mean, you'll find these plates that are about this big. They're pretty heavy. You will find the connecting pieces. It's a piece that they bolt in, and you'll find them out there brand new. They might be 30 years old, but they've never been used. And it's like we walk a set of tracks, and we come home with a lot of scrap metal. And I'm here to tell you right now, the price of scrap metal, I don't know what it is exactly, but it's up there. And if you take kids out and you say, hey, we're going to go scrap metal hunt, find out what scrap metal goes for. And I think we had it figured out that every time a kid picked up a spike, it was like 28 cents or something like that. And that was then. I don't know what it is now, but I think it's a lot more. And just a little helpful thing at the scrapyard. Like if you go wheeling in the scrapyard and you have a section of railroad, the actual railroad, they will say, "Ooh, you can't turn that in. That doesn't belong to you. That belongs to the railroad." And then if you say, "Well, what about these spikes?" They'll say, "Oh, same thing. That belongs to the railroad. You can't turn that in." But if you go wheeling in there and you have a wash machine, and you're just going to dump this wash machine and it's full of spikes, you go across the scale and then you push it off and then you come back across the scale. It's like, just a little helpful hint, because they can't take railroads property. Now, if you can't really do that with a section of rail, and they do leave those all over the place. I know where there's a bunch of them right now, and it seems like they're never coming back to get them. It looks like they've been there they've been there as long as I've been here. So I don't think you'd get away with, unless you cut that up into pieces. I think that you would probably not get away with that. The guy at the scrapyard would say, hey, come on. But as far as spikes and old bolts and, just actual garbage that they've left out there, that's not a problem. You can kind of put those things in other things and wash machines and refrigerators and stuff like that. I've even had a 5-gallon bucket full of them on the back of my dump truck, and then when I go there, they get dumped off with everything else, and then the guy pushes it up onto the pile. They don't really care. All right, but that's just a word to the wise. Oh, okay. All right. Nancy says, my father heard the truckers are having a hard time finding repair parts for their, yeah, I've heard that. And I heard today there's a problem with some of the chemicals that we use in our municipalities, like chlorine. I've heard that's a problem, and I've heard there's a problem with the diesel exhaust fuel stuff. Trucks won't run without it. You can't sub it with anything else, I guess. Maybe Justin knows. If anybody would know, he would. If you can sub that out with something else. But yeah, I don't know, but I'm hearing very logical testimony about a possibility of a supply chain interruption. I mean, much greater than we ever thought possible. Yeah. When you think about it, when you put together a process that we've been putting together in this country since the inception of the country, like we went west, we built railroads when we went west. Even before we had railroads, we had, a wagon train, and yeah, you could depend on them at a certain time and a certain place and things like that. So you could structure your life out there like, okay, we've got enough we've got enough sugar to make it till this time, and then the wagon train should be coming in, we'll get some malt. And then things get better, you get trains, and then you get faster trains, and then you get semis, and then you get, and it's all been put together incrementally, and it is very good. I mean, you look at say prior to COVID or whatever, when things were kind of normal, if there was ever a norm. I mean, you go in a store and you're hard pressed to find a place where something is missing. They are really good at keeping stores up tight, floors clean, everything's stocked. You go in Myers and you get anything you want. You go in Walmart, anything you want. You can get peppers from south of the border, you name it. And to be honest with you, do these people deserve that? I don't know. I really don't know if they deserve it, because they're not working that hard for it, honestly. There's part of me that thinks this whole great reset thing, there's a lot of people who are going to get spanked on this, and they probably need it. They probably need it, right? I think that's one of the things that we acknowledge as homesteaders is the difficulty in raising food. It's not easy. And we've gotten so good at it in this country that I think 90% of the people aren't even involved in it, in their own food production. They just hog it down, and it's cheap and it's everywhere. And we're saying, hey, there could be shortages. Maybe you should make some precautions. No, I'm taking a trip down to Disneyland. I'm not going to be able to do that. I just can't. Yeah. Okay. Well, priorities. If your priorities are not in line with the way they should be, then you will suffer the consequences. That's just the way it is. I'll be eating T-bones and you'll be scrounging for macaroni and cheese. It's just the way it is. And I'm pretty hardcore about that too. You can ask some of my friends. If people don't want to make any kind of preparation for themselves, it's kind of their thing. It's what they want, and they will get what they want. All right. Well, Nancy's saying Coastal said they were mixed mangalites of Berks. Yeah, they'll probably eat acorns then. Justin's saying they make T-posts out of old railroad track. Wow, that would be one heavy T-post. Vin says, I've heard you can sub diesel exhaust fluid with urea. Save your pee, folks. Windshield fluid with ammonia will work in a pinch. How about that? With ammonia. All right. I figured Justin would know. You probably run with a bunch of guys that have figured out how to beat that. That diesel exhaust fluid is I think it is urea anyway, isn't it? Urea is actually pig urine. It comes from pig urine. Yeah. All right. Okay, I just want to remind you that June 11th, which is a Saturday, is going to be our first class of the summer. That's a pastured poultry class. And that starts at 9 o'clock. and we're going to try to cover all the bases on pasture poultry. We're going to look at construction of a brand new chicken tractor. We're going to head on over to the brooder and show how that is done. We should have a load of chicks in there then. Then we're going to go out to the field, operate tractors, and just have pretty live discussion because we'll be right there at how it's done. And then lunch, of course, we're having chicken for lunch. And then we will process chickens after lunch, right? And we're going to process quite a few of them, so everybody will get a chance to really work every station that they want to. We don't pressure anybody into doing anything that they're not comfortable with doing. Like in my house, the girls don't do any killing. They just don't. It's not like we got a rule against it. They just have never expressed any need to do that, so nobody pressures them into it. But the goal is by the time you leave, on your way home, you should be able to call the hatchery, get chicks coming, put together a brooder the next couple days that you're home. Your chicks should come at the end of the week, and then start working on your first tractor, or maybe your only tractor, because if you're just going to grow for your home, a full-size tractor will do 75, and you could load it twice, and that'd be a lot of chicken for you, but you could do it. So it's a pretty good class. We had a great time last time, had a lot of fun. Okay, the next thing is July 9th, also Saturday. That is Tribe Day. That is the Anyone Can Farm Tribe Day. And that also starts at 9 o'clock in the morning. However, people will be allowed to camp on the farm the night before. So Friday night and also Saturday night if you want to camp on the farm. And Sunday, you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. We like to clear everybody out of here by, 11 or so, something like that. 11 or 12, something like that. Okay? So a lot of stuff going on. I'm telling you, the planning council, planning committee, they are doing bios on the people who are speaking. They're all kinds of stuff. So there's quite a bit of things going on. I'm pretty sure there's bees. I know there's biochar. There's rabbits. There's soap making. There is pasture poultry. There is beginning homesteading panel. There's going to be a panel. And if you're going to begin a homestead, you can ask these people. They'll just be sitting on a panel. You can ask them anything you want. There's other stuff I can't think of right now, but it's every bit as good as like a small farms conference, and that's kind of where we're going. But it's run by farmers for farmers, and you're getting testimony from people that have actually done the thing. So there's just a ton of power that happens when it's like that. We're not going to have any like university professors or anything like that that just talk about it but have never done it. So the questioning is really good because you're able to get the straight poop on this. Yeah, I'm not going to give out any further dates until a little bit later. Homestead hog harvest starts in November. We're going to do 2 of them here, one at the Clerics and probably one other one someplace else. So that'll be 4. And last year we did the charcuterie class. We did 2 of them. We'll probably do 2 of them again this year. So we had a lot of success with that, a lot of fun. I think people got a lot out of it. This weekend, in line with what I just told you, I went down to the Clerics, and it was actually it was more recreation for me than anything. Yes, that was my initial reason for going. Was like, I love going to somebody else's farm and see their enthusiasm for what they're doing. I love that. And it just so happens these people we know, and we've done stuff together, and it was just a lot of fun. But my primary was probably recreation. But lo and behold, along the way, I learned something. So that's in the spirit with, go recreate, but what are you bringing home? Is your recreation, is it enhancing your mission or not? Is it a liability or is it an asset? If you go golfing for the day, I'm not saying golfing is bad. I mean, it could be a way where, you're golfing with a guy, who becomes one of your customers. Well, okay, it's a stretch, but it's beneficial to the homestead. But you're probably going to spend more on golf than anything. I always pick on golfing. I don't hate golfing. Actually, I used to like to go golfing. I wasn't very serious about it, but I still had fun. Okay. Crunchy saying, we will be arriving Friday and help with the setup for Tribe Day. Right on. Right on. It's going to be good to see your tribe, too. Oh, Justin's saying his deaf system will be removed next time he has an issue. Okay. I didn't think you could, but you probably figured out how. All right, you guys. There is not going to be a show tomorrow night. I'm going to sub it with the Wednesday. So we'll be showing up on Wednesday. My grandson's 3rd birthday is tomorrow, and I have to be there. So I will not be here tomorrow night, but I will be Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Does that help? I hope that helps. And Wednesday, we'll just have a regular night, possibly an interview, but I'm not going to promise anything at this point because it'd be kind of ad hoc at this point. Okay, I'm going to get going. Remember, anyone can farm, and I will see you Wednesday night.